What are you protesting here today?
We're protesting the fact that since Donald Trump has become president of the United States, racists, neo-Nazis have felt very emboldened. We've seen, even here in Canada, we've seen Sons of Odin walking around the downtown east side, Nazi racist flyers in New Westminster. They think that they can step up and have a voice, so we want to push back and be a bold voice saying that they're not welcome here.
But don't you think this kind of racism and, hatred existed long before Trump came in?
Absolutely, but he's given it a platform. He's made it okay to wear a Pepe sign and be a neo-Nazi in public and go, yay, Trump.
But Pepe is just a frog. I mean, he's just a symbol. He's not anything that represents racism. He's just a frog. So how come that is triggering so many people?
Well, Pepe is used by the, quote, alt-right racists who want to hide the fact that they're racist, so they share the frog symbol. It's just a symbol, but it's one that they've grabbed onto as code for each other.
Love Trump's hate. Love wins over everything else, and negativity and hatred and all the evil stuff. It always will be better than the hate that he spews.
This looks like it was drawn by a child who's 2 years old.
Yeah, I guess. That was me.
Oh. Yes, and you see these snowflakes expect people to take them seriously by drawing and gluing on little colored pieces of paper to a wall. This is what I was doing in kindergarten. What does this sign mean?
It means that he's a self-centered, egocentric narcissist. That's what it means. And he lies a lot.
But I think Hillary lied a lot too. She said she was under sniper fire in Bosnia, but this never happened.
She never put his name on the side of a hotel. Everything is about branding, correct? You must never use his name. There's no such thing as bad publicity. He got elected with bad publicity.
So you're complaining today just because of the name of this hotel. Don't you think this is a little bit of a waste of time?
I beg your pardon? No, it is not a waste of time. Do you know what the word venal means? Do you know what the word venal means?
No, enlighten me.
It means that you're available at any price. That's what it means, a venal person. All right? And that's all I've got to say to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Why do you wear this mask? Is it because of protection or because you're not very beautiful? Thank you.
If you're a Christian and you're supporting Donald Trump, do one of two things: renounce your faith or fucking kill yourself. You're embarrassing yourself and your fucking friends.
But that's very intolerant to say, don't you think?
Might be. But at the end of the day, when people use the Christian nation to spread hate, it's fucking bullshit and it's fucking pathetic.
What do you think of this protest?
I won't tell you about that.
You won't tell me about this.
You know why we're here?
When are you going to start to use the tear gas?
I don't think we're going to be doing that.
Nazis are Nazis. Trump supporters are in fact Nazis. This is called the Fourth Reich or the Fifth Reich, whatever the heck you want to call it. And what's so fascinating is that all the countries who fought Nazis
but slowly
are now calling themselves populist and right-wingers.
But there are people of color, there are blacks, and there are Jews who support Trump. So you're calling these Jews Nazis?
That's exactly what's happening. I sure am.
All you got is lousy, stupid little arguments that mean nothing.
What are you guys arguing about?
Absolutely nothing.
Free Kyrgyzstan! We must free the Kyrgyzstani people! The Kyrgyzstani people have been unfairly punished!
I want to get out of here really quickly. I can feel my IQ and my testosterone dropping by the second, yes?
Are you one of Putin's friends? You sound like one of Putin's friends.
Yes, I'm a very big Putin fan. How about you?
Me too. I love the guy. He takes off his shirt. He's braver than me.
Yes.
I can't take off my shirt. I have a little bit of pudginess. But Your Putin guy, I love that guy.
If you stop drinking the liberal tears, then you will lose some weight.
Liberal, are they fattening?
Very fattening.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Fake news, fake news, fake news. Brand of shame, lies, and corruption. But what is this on your head?
It's a hat.
What kind of hat?
It's a pink hat for women. Solidarity.
A what?
Pussy hat.
Pussycat?
Now, part of the Women's March. Started in D.C., Washington, January 21st, 1.2 million.
What is a pussy?
It's a girl. Do you not know who Trump is and what he said on TV?
What did he say?
You shouldn't be here if you don't know the story, honey.
Well, maybe you can inform me because you know more than me.
Oh, no. You need to do some research, honey.
Much smarter than all the people I've interviewed today.
He doesn't want to wear the sign.
He doesn't want to wear this strap. He is pro-Trump, this dog.
No, I don't think so.
I just don't want to allow people to put down others from any other country or any other belief. I'm about love, I'm about peace, and I'm about my Muslim best friend not being told to go to a different country when he was born here. It's not okay.
I understand this. I like very much your haircut.
Thank you. I don't, because it's growing out.
Is this for the protest or did you come from X-Men audition?
The second one.
How are you able to afford to come protest here on a Tuesday? Because for me, if I miss one day of work back at the pierogi factory at home, I'm fired.
I work evenings and weekends, and today is a day off for me.
Excellent. And would you ever get a room in this hotel?
Not a chance.
Well, not with me, obviously.
Yeah, no.
What is this protest about?
It's about expressing our opposition to Trump's racist policies that prevent people from certain nations from entering the U.S.
Okay, so it's some kind of ban, yes?
Yes. Well, it's a ban on immigration. I mean, it's like Trump's just general stance towards immigrants.
Which countries is he banning?
It's 7 Muslim majority countries in the Middle East. I don't remember the exact list at the moment. I believe they're on.
I think it's Syria, Sudan, Somalia, Iraq, Iran, Libya, and Yemen, but I could be wrong.
That's what this document says. Or yeah.
Well, I don't need a paper. I already know. But do you think that if you were banned from Syria, that they would protest for you to be able to go there?
Probably not, because they have their own issues.
Yes, but when are you planning your next vacation to Aleppo?
I mean, I'm not planning a vacation out of the country for a while.
Why not? You need a tan.
I wish travel's expensive, you know?
I like your hair. Is this just for the protest or is this from Halloween?
This is just how I decorate myself.
What really is Islam? And why so many people choose to follow, despite the many attempts from the media to show it is a religion that is hollow.
What do you think of this protest and the turnout?
It's good, it's important. I mean, these smaller ones that are coming up are really important to just keep in check.
Because right now they're protesting the government in Romania and there's maybe hundreds and thousands of people. But here, so little people, more people come to my donkey's funeral than here.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how, there was a crowd 10 times the size of this last night. So these things are popping up all over the place, and I think it's just important to show that, little protests all over add up.
Mm-hmm. So you have a sign here, it says what?
You can read.
I cannot read. My English very bad.
What does it say?
It says, fuck off alt-right fascists.
How do you know I am this alt-rights?
Oh, we weren't suggesting that.
No.
Okay, well then continue. There is a girl here dressed like a pumpkin who is going around telling everyone not to speak to us. Excuse me, can I ask you a few questions about this protest? Squatting Slav TV, more popular than BBC and CNN put together.
No, thank you.
Why not?
I don't know who you are, and I don't know what's happening with it.
So you're protesting against hate speech? Okay, I like your hair. You're a police officer?
I have an announcement to make. There are some folks from right-wing organizations from Rebel Media. I would just like to advise everyone not to engage with them at all.
Excuse me, can we ask you some questions? Oh, they run away like the cockroach. Can I ask you a few questions, or did she say not to talk to us?
No, sorry.
Oh, you guys are scared as well. Okay. Excuse me, can I ask you about your sign? What does this mean?
It's the recent meme phenomenon. That's that girl that's like, cash me outside. So I thought it would be great to bring in popular culture and some politics and use that meme to my advantage.
That is very funny. I almost die of laughter. Who is Trump racist to?
People of color.
Which ones?
You cannot specify one color.
This girl here, she blocked free speech for everyone by telling people not to speak to me. But she protests against fascism and oppression. The irony is very, very big.
If anyone here is associated with the alt-right and is here to perpetuate violence and pain, you are not welcome.
In Eastern Europe, we like very much Donald Trump. He's a very powerful man who crushed the wicked witch Hillary. Unfortunately, these crybabies here do not share the same opinion, and many of them try to block us out today and not talk to us. I hope you learn a lot, because we sure did, my friends. Goodbye.
It's definitely discriminatory against girls because we have the same ability to earn the rank, but we don't have the access to get that rank.
The group is literally called the Boy Scouts of America. It's not discriminatory to keep a girl out of an organization that is specifically and explicitly designed for boys. There's already an organization for girls you can join if you want. It's called the Girl Scouts. Instead of trying to join the male organization that you clearly prefer, why don't you try to make Girl Scouts better? So this girl's already a member of 2 other scouting organizations. Why does she still need to join the Boy Scouts? I was a Boy Scout for a short period of time and have several friends who went on to become Eagle Scouts, and it's a lot of work. How is she going to be a successful member of the Canadian Scouts, the South African Scouts, and the Boy Scouts? It almost seems like she doesn't really want to join the Boy Scouts, and there's some kind of ulterior motive here. Let's keep watching.
I learned that equality isn't really an easy thing to attain.
In this case, actually, equality would be easy to attain. All your sister has to do is go find her closest Girl Scout troop and join it.
The Eagle rank is the highest award in the Boy Scouts, and I can't achieve it just because I'm a girl.
Actually, Sydney, that's not true. Not every Boy Scout just happens to become an Eagle Scout when they turn 18. It's actually a lot of hard work. According to the National Eagle Scout Association, only 5% of Boy Scouts are ever able to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout. Between your participation in Canadian Scouts, South African Scouts, and potentially the Boy Scouts, what makes you think you'd be able to find the time and ability to complete all of the required merit badges and projects to earn the rank of Eagle Scout? It's not just a participation trophy. There's a lot of hard work involved. This is such a stupid argument used by nowadays to try to delegitimize the Boy Scouts. Just because rules were written before women could vote doesn't make them necessarily bad rules. Here are some examples. The Constitution and Bill of Rights were ratified in 1788. Slavery was outlawed in the U.S. in 1865, and women were given the right to own property in the late 1800s. So, no, just because a rule was made over 100 years ago doesn't necessarily make it bad.
I think that girls should have the opportunity to join either program and earn whatever opportunities they want.
So, if you have problems with the Girl Scouts organization and their activities, why don't you join the Girl Scouts and attempt to make the changes you want to see, instead of joining an organization meant for young men? I mean, there's nothing that prevents Girl Scouts from going camping or doing leadership development activities, so why don't you join your Girl Scout troop and plan those activities and give those opportunities to other young girls who may want them? Just as I predicted earlier, this isn't really about Sydney wanting to join the Boy Scouts and take part in leadership building activities. This, and many other mainstream third-wave feminist causes, is really about punishing men for daring to want to have spaces in organizations where men can be men. If Sydney really wants to join the Boy Scouts, why is she asking for the federal government to stop funding them? Wouldn't that just make it harder for the organization to operate? And in the name of equality, why isn't Sydney asking the federal government to stop funding organizations like the Girl Scouts, which doesn't allow boys to join? This is all about equality, isn't it?
The Boy Scouts of America is a great organization, and it would only get better with allowing half of the population, which are girls, into their program, and increasing the diversity within Scouting will just make the program better.
Actually, no it wouldn't, Sydney. It would cripple the organization and take away from its purpose, which is to give young men a place to learn about leadership and how to be a man. It's not co-ed scouts, it's not friendship scouts, it's not egalitarianism scouts, it's Boy Scouts, and it's Boy Scouts for a reason. Diversity isn't always a good thing, and in this case, diversifying the Boy Scouts to include women would defeat the purpose of the organization and make it into something that it isn't. Are we just supposed to pretend like parents would be okay shipping their 13 to 18-year-old boys and girls off together to co-ed overnight trips and co-ed summer camps? I don't think so. Here's an idea, Sydney. Go find your local Girl Scouts chapter, which is designed for girls, and join that. Take some initiative. Help them plan the types of events and activities you would like to participate in. Nobody's stopping you from doing that. There's no law saying that girls can't go on river rafting and camping trips together. And at the same time, stop trying to ruin male spaces and activities. I know the left wants us to believe that there are no differences between men and women, but it just isn't true. Men and women, yes, even young men and women, are different.
So I just need to you found a little bit of space. Are you wanting to walk or are you just going to be?
Oh, just kidding.
Afternoon. This is a presentation by Harry Armitage. Harry has said that he is very welcome to questions throughout the presentation, so if you have questions, please raise your hand and wait for Harry to ask for them. We will have a formal question session at the end, so any questions that you want to leave to the end, please wait until then. Thank you.
The definition of feminism is equality between men and women, if you look it up on Google. In this presentation, I'm going to prove to you that that in 2016 is not the case. There was a first wave of feminism, the suffragettes who campaigned for the vote and for equality, and then there was second wave feminism in around the 60s, campaigning for equality in domestic gender roles and things like that. And then recently there's been a third wave feminism, who have consistently lied about things. For example, the wage gap between men and women. That is a lie. 77 cents to the dollar is a lie. It doesn't take into account the different hours worked by men and women on average in jobs. It doesn't take into account the different jobs that men and women do. And it doesn't take into account many, many other factors. Once you factor all these in, it is statistically irrelevant, that the wage gap. This is just one example of the lies that have been perpetrated by modern third wave feminism. Now, they've also created a rape culture that they've put on society, that they've said, oh, there is a rape culture in this society. In a Western civilization, there is no rape culture. We put rapists in prison, and rapists, even if wrongly accused, their lives are ruined. If you want a rape culture, look to the Middle East. They hate free speech. They don't like it when their opinions are challenged. They try to ban words like bossy, and they try to ban things on Twitter. They try to ban people from having their opinion. They don't like other people's opinions. The imbalances on people have flipped, and feminism says that it's about equality, but I've never once seen a feminist campaign against the fact that, on average, women, if they rape a man, they get 2 years, 3 years in jail. But if it happens the other way around, it's 20 years. Surely, if they're about equality, shouldn't it be the same for both genders? Other flip gender imbalances include well, not really flip, but gender imbalances include the massive suicide rate of men under 30. I've never heard a feminist or a third wave feminist once speak about how bad this is. It's not about equality. It's not. It's about lying. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Would you consider yourself a feminist?
No, Harry, I would not, because I don't believe... Well, I believe in equality, but I don't believe in feminism, because I believe that that's not about equality.
What's the biggest lie told by third wave feminists
Well,
that you haven't mentioned already?
That I haven't mentioned already?
Yes.
They have lied about... Well, the main really important ones are the ones that I've already mentioned, but they often use singular cases of rape to sort of get out the word of, oh, we need awareness for this thing, so they lie about it. But surely if they're lying about it to get awareness, that's getting awareness of the fact that sometimes people lie. Any more questions?
So, originally, feminism was created because there was an imbalance.
Yeah.
And originally, it was the imbalance between men and women. The idea now is not feminism being an imbalance of gender, but being equality of all. You talk a lot about men versus women, but what about people who call themselves transgender? What about people that perhaps don't identify with a gender at all?
In relation to what?
How they should be perceived by society? Do they not count in the idea of feminism?
Well, no, because feminism, if you look up the definition, which if you ask a feminist, they'll always refer you to, is about the push for women's rights and equality between men and women.
If I call myself a feminist, I wouldn't say that I battle for the rights of women. I would say I battle for the rights of equality. So when we talk about the shift of language and definitions, is it not fair to say the definitions shift and change depending on the need within society?
Well, just because you say you are something doesn't mean that that's what the movement is about. So I could say that I'm a radical jihadist. Doesn't mean that I'm a radical jihadist. Well, because you can say that you're something, but the movement doesn't necessarily represent that. If you say that you're about equality for all, then most of feminism isn't about equality for all. It's about equality between men and women. That's what modern feminism is about. For example, with the wage gap, when they give you the wage gap statistics, 77 cents to the dollar, they don't mention other people who may not identify with the gender or people who identify themselves as trans. So that's the main thing that I'm fighting.
Okay. So I would say that there is equally a disparity between class systems. So if you are born into a certain class of family, your income equates to a certain amount. And that's purely with how you're born, which is a very similar thing to do with gender. Do you think that that is as much of an issue, if not more so, or less so, than gender inequality?
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about gender inequality and how it's misrepresented by feminism because they're saying that they're for gender equality when they're actually not.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on inequality in general, including the class system?
Well, ideally, I would like to eradicate all inequalities, but I'm not going to do that by calling myself a feminist.
One of the points you made was that there is a rape culture in other parts of the world. So if you called yourself a feminism because you were fighting for the rights of those people in those parts of the world, is that such a bad thing?
Well, no, it's not, but once again, you can say that you can call yourself a feminist because you believe in that, but that's not what modern feminism is generally about.
Why not? Why hasn't that changed?
What do you mean? Why hasn't?
Why do you think that the premise of feminism hasn't changed? It should have. Why do you think it hasn't?
Well, because I think people still believe that there are imbalances because statistics are misrepresented. For example, the wage gap.
And why is that?
Well, because people believe that as they've been oppressed in the past, they should have some status over other people in the future. So you sort of see that with people saying, I've actually heard a lot of people say, oh, yeah, because I'm a feminist because women have been oppressed for hundreds of years. If they've been oppressed for hundreds of years, why do you need to be a feminist now? You can say that you're aware of those things, but you don't need to carry on campaigning for the same things.
So, in your opinion then, men and women are currently equal?
Yes, in the broader sense. In the Western culture, if you look elsewhere, then no.
Just going to give you one more example. Paternity and maternity pay are massively different. Do you think that's fair?
In what way are they different?
Men get two paid weeks. Women can have up to 6 months. Now, I get that the woman's had the baby, but that doesn't mean that the man doesn't want to be at home with their child.
No, but broader speaking, that's generally the case.
Yeah, but what do you think about that example?
Well, that example, broader speaking, men generally would rather stay at work.
Oh no. Wait, hit. Triggered.
Yes, sir.
Paternity and maternity leave are now the same.
Are they?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Interesting comment you made there at the end.
Oh, what's this?
You said earlier in your speech that rape culture was caused mainly by feminism and could be caused by social standards.
Well, there isn't one. There isn't a rape culture. Rapists are put in jail, and even if they're falsely accused of rape, their lives are completely ruined. If that's not a rape culture. If it's a rape culture, if rape was glorified.
I think the idea of rape culture is that it's not glorified; it's more so normalized throughout like video games and things. I think let's give the example of in one video game you can make your character rape a woman.
You can't though. Rape is frowned upon. You can't make that is a falsehood. You can't do that in that game. You can't unless you specifically install something that you got from the internet while searching for that. You can't do that in that game.